Hey, what's up, everyone? Buongiorno, bonjour, hola, and hello, and guten Morgen. So, this video log, first of all, this is related to Georgetown, the historic district and neighborhood of Georgetown in my city, DC, aka the District of Columbia, and of my quadrant of the upper northwest of the District of Columbia. So, number one, my dad is a legendary historic figure of the Georgetown, DC business historic district, food and beverage industry. Okay. And he was for multiple decades. Number two, this is the very neighborhood where when Jim Morrison was a student, a member of Arlington Public School, North Arlington, Virginia, and when his dad reported to his, I believe, from the North Arlington, Virginia household of the Morrison family, cross the bridge into Georgetown and go to what was called in 1961 Coffee and Confusion. And that's where Jim Morrison first started reciting his poetry at open mic night. Okay. So just some interesting facts about Georgetown. Also the site of where, perhaps the most legendary historic cult classic horror movie franchise of all time, The Exorcist, was filmed. Right. Inside the Georgetown University area, The Exorcist steps by the bridge. Right. That movie was released in 1973, and it generated $500 million at the box office. Do you know what $500 million was worth in 1973 in equivalence to now? Probably about 1 to 2 billion at the box office. Yes. Okay. So you have that. Mama Cassell, the mamas and papas grew up in that neighborhood. I almost became a student of the Georgetown Day Prep School, but my mom said no. She canceled that. My aunt and her husband wanted to go there, and my mom said no. She said she wanted me to be a part of the DC public school system. Okay. I mean, I conquered DC, the DMV, the country, like pop history and culture anyway, so it doesn't seem that I needed to go there, but I'm just being honest. Okay. All right. Now, with all that said, I once I forget exactly how we met or where we met, but I ended up befriending a very young lady. This was years and years ago. I was very young. She was very young. I was much younger. She was much younger. And I ended up befriending a very young lady. This was years and years ago. I was very young. She was very young. I was much younger. She was much younger. And at the time, she was the graphic designer for the Georgetowner newspaper, which is the newspaper for Georgetown, the historic district and neighborhood of upper northwest DC. And we hung out, and we had we had fun. But long story short, she started graphically designing. She graphically designed on my former band's MySpace page when I gave her access to the username and password of our MySpace page, and she then followed me and my former bandmates to the site of my baptism, which was at St. Matthew's Cathedral on 1725 Rhode Island Avenue, Northwest DC, as in one of our Greek island called PAPPAS, which is the Island of Rhodes, Rhodes Scholar, University of Rhode Island, the Rams. The Rams symbolizing Ares, a Roman Italian god of war, Mars. Now, um, for the Georgetowner newspaper, did an entire photo shoot of my bandmates and I inside and throughout the inside of St. Matthew's Cathedral, where I was baptized July of 1976 with my dad and mom, most chosen, predestined, pre-fated, to converge and bring and reproduce me into the earth again. With my mom and dad standing behind me during my Roman Catholic institutional baptism of July 1976. I had just turned 5 years old, and it was the bicentennial year of this country. It was the 200th anniversary of this country at the time of my baptism. And the Omen movie had just been released here in the US that same month and same year of my baptism, July of 1976. I'll never forget when my daughter, my Empress Eris Centaurus, and I went inside of St. Matthew's Cathedral, and I handed my Empress my cell phone, and she took a photo of her father sitting on the very throne of St. Matthew's Cathedral, inside of St. Matthew's Cathedral. But yes, the graphic designer of the Georgetowner newspaper for Georgetown, DC at the time, years and years ago. I don't even think I was a father then, or was I? I don't remember. But she did an entire photo shoot of us inside St. Matthew's Cathedral. And then she followed me and my former bandmates inside, I believe, the underground garage, parking garage of St. Matthew's Cathedral. And I had a vampiric cloak on and vampiric-like clothing with vampiric-like colors, like crimson, black, etc. Yeah. Well, I'm Jorge Estrada, DC, talk to you for now. That's this video log.